Alright, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be animating the player, and hopefully if there's time, we're going to be adding some camera controls in there so that the camera can follow the player. We're definitely also going to be changing the directions of the player, and apparently the puppies are wanting attention, so hopefully my kids wake up pretty soon when they hear them and start giving them that attention. Alright. Let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create some animations. So in our assets folder, I'm going to right click, create new folder, because you guys know I like to be organized, underscore animations, add a new folder, and this one's going to store all the player animations. Let's go ahead, I'm going to move this up in here next to the hierarchy, because I'm going to open up my animation window and drop that right there. I'll also open up my animator window because I'll need that too, so I might as well just keep that there. Alright, well, our hierarchy, let's select our player, okay, and we're going to go ahead and press create. And in our animations player folder, we're going to type in idle. We're going to add a couple more. So let's go to run. We're going to add another one. And we're going to call this jump. And with our idle selected down here, right? By the way, I didn't mention it when I was creating the other ones. Click this drop down right here and you can press create new clip, and that's how you create additional clips and switch between the clips that you have already created. Alright, in our project panel we're going to find our characters, players, squirrel, idle, sprites. There we go. These ones are already all set up. They should all be set up, but if they're not, just select them, double check them, make sure that it's 16, sprite mode single, and point no filter. So alright, we're gonna go ahead and drop these guys in here, probably about 10 frames apart seems good. So we're at a second and 10 frames, right? So about 70 frames right there in between, I think, give or take. Animators, let me know if I'm wrong. Alright, and let's test it out by pressing this play button. So if you look, there's a little stutter when it reaches the end and comes back here. An easy way and a quick way to fix this is to take this first animation and bring it over here to the end. And now when you press play, it's just a smooth transition. There's no stutter, no nothing. So that's perfect for that. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that. I'm going to come down here to jump. And then we're going to go ahead and access our jump sprites. And again, make sure these are good. And they are. So let's start dragging them in. Let's press play. Still got that stuttering because I forgot to put that one in there. Alright, so that moves kind of slow for a jump. So let's bring that back. Let's go with, be a little daring and go 3 frames in between. That might be too fast though. So 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, and that is really fast. Alright, let's just go with the original. Let's go with the original and just go to 5 frames in between. Okay. And press play. Play. Huh. I'm missing one. I think I actually copied over one by accident. That's what happened. So let's go there. There we go. Now it's gonna look better. Much better. Alright. Now we got the jump done. Let's go do our run. Same thing. Click on run. Open up the sprites. Check them. Make sure. Whoops. That just opened up on the other display. And they're all good, so let's go ahead and drag them in. Since this is a run, I'm gonna keep it at probably at 5 frames, just like before. 20, 25, and then add this one again for 30. We're gonna go. There we go. We got the running going. We got the jumping going. We got the idle going. Let's press Control S to save that. And go back to our player. Click on our player. And what you're going to notice is this animator controller that's appeared now. Let's go ahead and drag that up just to keep things in proper order. At least that's not a proper order. This is my preferred order. If you want to leave the animator at the bottom, leave the animator at the bottom. But I like to keep my scripts at the bottom, personally. So, alright, what do I want to do now? I guess we should start creating variables, right? So let's go into our, put this back on idle. Let's go to our animator window, and let's start creating some variables. So here on the animator, you'll see that since you have had the player selected, it's already got it there. If it doesn't show that, then you can go into your project, animations, player, and double click on the player animator, this square right here. Okay. Actually, while I'm here, let's go ahead and I don't think we're gonna need the loop for the jump, so let's go ahead and turn that off real quick. Control S. Sorry again. Alright, let's start creating some transitions. So I like to move mine in a way that's going to be like what it's doing. So I have the jump above the idle. I have run right next to idle. I'm going to create a transition from run to idle and from idle to run. I want to be able to jump anytime, so I'm going to go from any state to jump. And we need to create some parameters. So over here on the left of this window, you'll see it has layers selected. Click on parameters and you'll see that there's an empty list. We're going to create 2 of them. They're going to be booleans. One is going to be called is running, and one is going to be called is jumping. And what we're going to be doing is setting these transitions. So actually I need to add a transition from jump to idle as well. So this one is going to be, make sure that there's no exit time, right? And we're going to be setting our, we're going to leave the transition the same, or the transition time the same, but it's going to be is jumping is equal to true. This one is going to be is jumping is equal to false, and we're going to turn off has exit time. And this one is going to be is running is equal to true, is running is equal to false. We're going to turn off those exit times, and we're actually going to adjust this transition to 0.1 seconds. So I want it to be a very quick transition. And we're going to go to press Control S to save that. We'll see how that works. Let's go ahead and dive into our code though. So go back to your hierarchy, click on player. If your code is closed, go ahead and open it up by just clicking on the player controller, double clicking on the code, and it'll pop up right there. And let's get started. So we need to add some references right here underneath the rigid body. Let's add a private animator variable. We're going to call it anim, and then we're going to call it here in the awake function I was gonna leave the start function in case I need it for later on, but if I need it, I'll just add it. For right now, I'm just gonna delete it. It's just taking up unnecessary realty space right there. Alright, next thing we need to do is we need to start calling our animations. So where do I want to put it? I'm going to put it in the update function. And I'm just going to put it down here underneath. It should be fine. Anim dot set bool is running. Oops, might help if tell it what the name of the bool is and not actually make it think that it's somewhere in the code. Alright, and it's going to be move input. If the move input is not equal to 0, then that means that it's running and it needs to do that thing, and then make it move. And then we're going to add another conditional. If not is grounded, then we're going to set the anim.set bool of is jumping to true. Whoops. Otherwise, else, we're going to say anim.set bool is jumping is equal to false. Alright, let's press Control S and save that and close that up. Let's go to play our game and see what happens. Alright. Alright, so the character's moving. I might have to lower that transition coming out of the run. Same thing with the jump. Coming out of the run, I need to lower it some. But they are working, so that's good. That's just some fine tuning. We can change this to 0.01, make it like super tiny, barely negligible. And this one let's go with 0.1. It's going to be more of just a matter of preference. If it's good for you, yeah, see, that works. Yep, alright, so that works. Let's go ahead and change the directions while we're moving, shall we? Let's go back to our code. We're going to go into our update function and I'm going to put it probably right here because it has to do with the movement. Really probably the set bool, just to keep things nice and tidy. The running bool should probably be right there in this area too, but I don't feel like moving it now. If move input is greater than 0, then we're going to do a thing, and that thing is we're going to transform the local scale, and we're going to create a new vector 3 from it, and that vector 3 is going to be 1 1 1. Otherwise, what we're going to do is else if move input is less than 0, we're going to do a thing, and that thing is we can take this whole thing right here, and rather than typing it again, just copy it, paste it, and we're going to change just that first one to a -1, and that should work on that. Save it, test it out. It moves and it switches directions. It jumps in that direction. It jumps in that direction. We're good. All right, everything's gravy. So now that that is good to go, we got time. Let's go ahead and do the camera. So when we do the camera, it's gonna be, I do things a little bit by trial and error when it comes to the camera, because why not? I guess every code is trial and error, right? So let's go ahead into our scripts. Create. Since I already created a mono behavior script before, we can just click that and create a new one. We're going to type in camera follow for the name. Follow. And it's going to give me that, which doesn't help me at all. So let's open up our camera follow script. Alright. So I'm not going to use, I don't need headers here because it's only going to be doing one thing, following the player. If we end up messing with things later on, then yeah, we'll deal with that. Alright. So, I don't know why I did brackets. I'm not doing a header. So let's go with public transform player. This is going to be the target that it's looking at. We're going to do a public float smooth speed, which will be kind of how fast or slow it's following the player. We're going to go with 0.1, no, 0.2 for right now. That's what we're going to do. We're going to add a public vector 3, which will be the offset, which will be where the trial and error comes in. And we want this to happen after the updates, so we're going to do late update. Vector 3 target position is going to be that variable name, and we're going to make this equal to the player dot position plus the offset that we're going to put. And then transform of the camera, and we're going to access the position values for it. It's going to be vector 3 dot lerp transform dot position target position and smooth speed, like that. All right, let's save that and put the camera on our camera script on the camera. Let's put our player in there, and for now we're just gonna leave it on zeros and kind of go from there and see what happens with it. And as you can see, that's what happens with it, because we can't see anything. It's at the 000 point, so we need to actually see our camera is currently at -10. So we're gonna put it, and that's what, so we'll put the Z at -10, and if these are at 0, then this is what it looks like. Excuse me. So when I press play, 0, -10, 0, -10, we should see just this screen right here. Alright, and so we have a little bit of the blue at the bottom. And so what we're gonna do is, I don't want to see any of that blue, so I'm gonna look at doing something like this. Let's go ahead and just bump that up a little bit. We'll go with 2 on the Y. There we go. So I don't see any blue along on the bottom. I have a bunch of blue over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to then start clamping things down and getting some variables in there. So let's go back to our code. And to do that, we need to add a new variable. So it's going to be public vector 2 min limits max limits. So if you have variables that are of the same type, you don't have to do another vector 2 and then name it max limits. You could actually separate them with the comma. This is only if they're of the same type. So both of these are vector 2s. And what we're going to do is here in between these two, we'll go with target position.x is going to be, and we're going to have it do some math for us, so mathf, and we're going to clamp that down. It's going to be the target position.x, looking at for the minimum amount, which will be min limits.x, and then the max limits.x as well. And I forgot an equal sign right here. So this should be equals. I don't know why I have a parenthesis right there, because I don't need it. Let's move that out of the way. And we're going to just copy this right here, paste it into this line here, and we're going to change all these x's to y's. So target position.y, target position.y, min limits.y, max limits.y. Press Control S, and then once the code updates, you're going to see there's the min and max limits, and we got to figure that out. There's a couple ways we can do that. I like to use the camera because it gives me positional data here. I'm going to move it to right about where I want the camera to stop. So that looks good on the X, right? So that positional data is actually 1.75. So I'm going to put that into my min, 1.75. Alright, and let's see, I'll go ahead and do the min for the Y. We're looking at 1.65 on the negative. Minus, oops, I said Y, so minus 1.65. Since I'm already here, let's go with the maximum on the Y. Looking at let's just say 2.8. I don't want to risk having any of that non-game stuff showing. Alright, and then let's come back over here. And for max X, we'll go with 82. And then let's go ahead and put these back where they were, over here at the beginning. Alright, Control S to save. We got all our values in. Let's go ahead and test it out, see how it works. Alright, so you can see our camera kind of snaps to where it needs to be. Alright, and it doesn't go farther back. Let's go ahead and jump. So it still kind of shows the blue there, and that's just because of where I had set it for our max Y. If I wanted to stop that, then I'd have to make it lower probably. Then you see our X kind of stops there. So, but we got it working. I just need to adjust the maximum Y limits. Let's see if I go 5 on the Y, what happens here. And I gotta adjust that run speed. That run speed is something fierce. Alright. Or lacks something fierce is probably the better term. Let's go with a run of 15. Alright. Ooh, okay. Not sure what happened there, but that was way too fast. 15. That was fierce. Let's go with 8. Alright. So with the camera set to 5, that's still pretty, for the max, that's still pretty high. Looks like 3 is going to be that sweet spot right there, and it's not going to go higher than 3. And then I don't see any of that gray right there, or the blue. So there you go. If you want to follow along, you could do that. Okay, and those are the numbers there. But this video is already at 25 minutes, so I think I'm going to stop here. What we did is just set up some animations. We changed the direction the player's facing when he's moving. We added a follow script for the camera and clamped it down so that you don't see any of the extra blue space laying around. So there you go. Alright, until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.